the negotiable demands or the non-negotiable demands? It's pretty hard to follow.
We've got more breaking news here. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we've got the GM plant in Ingersoll. 1,200 workers are being laid off. Another EV project goes bust. We have Pierre Poilievre bringing this up in the House of Commons. Melanie Joly desperately trying to douse the flames of this situation, and she gets savagely destroyed by Pierre. We also have Mark Carney is questioned about the Trump tariffs, and his response is deplorable. Let's jump into this.
He admits they have to do better. It's not possible for them to do any worse, Mr. Speaker. The reality is today, we learned that inflation is again on the march. All 4 measures of inflation are above Bank of Canada's targets. 2 are outside of and above the acceptable range. Food price inflation is rising 2 times the rate that Bank of Canada targets. No wonder we have 2 million people lined up at food banks every single day. This inflation has exploded since this Prime Minister doubled the deficit. Will he reverse his inflationary deficit and taxes in this coming budget?
No. Mr. Speaker, I think we all know in this side of the House and Canadians, math might not be the cup of tea of the Leader of the Opposition. Neither may be economics, Mr. Speaker. But let me quote one of the authorities in the world, which is the Director General of the International Monetary Fund, Mr. Speaker. She said just last week, then we have countries in the G7 that are in a better position. Germany and Canada stand up in that regard, Mr. Speaker. Both Germany and Canada recognize that this is a very testing time and they need to use their fiscal space. In the case of Canada, the Canadian authorities have been very decisive in taking action. Mr. Speaker, we're doing it.
The Honourable Leader.
What a weak response. There's nothing there. There's no math. There's no numbers. This guy came out and criticized Pierre Poilievre, saying he's bad at math, and he literally had nothing there, had anything to do with math. Merely the opinion of someone in another country.
His banker friends in Washington may think that they have fiscal space, but the single mothers who can't afford groceries have no space left at all to pay for liberal inflation. This government is forcing them to spend 70% more on the Canadian Revenue Agency. Today, the Auditor General revealed that only 15% of calls get responses on time. And even if someone does pick up the phone, there's an 83% chance they give you the wrong answer. Why does this government force Canadians to pay so much for such terrible service?
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these conservatives. Trust me on that, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against dental care, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against the National School Food Program, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against pharmacare, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against the programs that would support Canadians in time of need, Mr. Speaker. No one on this side of this House will tell us what to do. We're going to fight for Canadian. We're going to make Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, Canadians are going to tell you what to do here pretty quick. Next election, you guys are out.
Another day, more costly slogans from that member of Parliament.
Wow, pretty riley in the House of Commons. So we've definitely got some news here today. GM ending their Cami plant in Ingersoll, Ontario. Another EV project going bust. GM Ingersoll electric van production, future of 1,000 workers at Cami plant up in the air.
We do also have some breaking news to bring you now concerning another key part of the Canadian economy today. There is fresh uncertainty hanging over this country's auto industry following word that General Motors is dropping electric van production at its plant near London, Ontario. GM blames trickling demand for its Bright Drop electric delivery vans. 1,200 workers will start to receive payouts. The plant had already operated below capacity since 2022, even after taking on a $1 billion government investment. The union representing plant workers has yet to comment on that decision. And moments ago, the Minister of Industry commented on the breaking news. Here now is Melanie Joly.
So obviously tough news this morning for the workers in Ingersoll for GM. I had a conversation with the Canadian CEO of GM this morning. I had a conversation with the head of Unifor, who represents...
She has a lot of conversations, but nothing gets done. I said this in the last video. Nothing ever gets done. More companies going bankrupt, more projects shutting down, more EV projects that shouldn't have been started in the first place.
The employees, and a conversation with Doug Ford and Vic Fideli, his Minister of Economic Development. So we've decided altogether that we would be creating a new response group, because we need to make sure that we fight for these jobs, that there are new models coming back to Ingersoll, and that GM has a bright future here in Canada. So that's what I'll be focusing on.
Yeah, new models coming back. Good luck with that. These liberals can heckle Pierre Poilievre all they want. Canada's crumbling, and it's under their watch.
Another day and more costly slogans. But now Canadians are learning it was a bait and switch. Today, another terrible tragedy. As they laugh, 1,200 workers at the Ingersoll Cami plant learned that they would lose their jobs after that Prime Minister promised he would negotiate a win and that he would keep their jobs here in Canada. They join with 2,000 workers in Brampton, many more in Oshawa. How does the Prime Minister look in the eyes the very workers that he sold out and betrayed?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
I'll tell you how the Prime Minister will deal with the auto sector. He will look at the auto workers in the eyes and he will say, we will fight for your job. And that's exactly what we're doing every single
He's not fighting for anything but his own bank account.
day. We're negotiating back in Washington, but also this is important to say that I met this morning with the Canadian CEO of
Okay, we just heard that. So she, once again, meeting with these people, nothing ever happens. They don't deliver any results. A lot of talk, no action.
She announced just now that she talked to this person, and she talked to that person, and she talked to this other person, and she talked, and she talked, and they talk, and they talk, and nothing gets done, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are tired of talk. They want their job. This government, or this Prime Minister, looked these workers in the eye and said he would negotiate a win, that he would protect auto jobs, that there would be an all-in-Canada supply chain that would keep them working. They even gave $250 million tax dollars to GM for this plant. And now those workers don't know how they're going to pay their bills. How does this government explain the broken promise and betrayal?
This was legendary response. Talk to this person, talk to that person. They keep saying this. It makes them seem busy, it's optics, but really the results are the results. Businesses are leaving Canada, production is shutting down because Mark Carney's not getting a deal.
Fight for these jobs, and we will hold the companies to account. That's right. That being said, let me talk to you about important jobs. 150 new jobs in St. Alstom, 700 new jobs at AstraZeneca, 500 new jobs at Ferrero.
At AstraZeneca, no thanks.
In Ontario, K&S Potash, 50 new jobs, Hitachi Energy, 500 new jobs. This government is building a strong Canadian economy.
The list she rattled out there, which they probably had to dig really deep to find all those job creations, is negated by these two auto projects, the 2,000, 3,000 in Brampton plus the Ingersoll. Meanwhile, what's Mark Carney doing? Apparently he's in Ottawa. I thought he was in China. That was the news, that he left for China, but here he is. What's the top thing on his mind right now? You probably think Donald Trump, the tariffs, the auto workers, steel workers. Which one is it?
What a game. What a game. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, I always knew. But I mean, that is clutch. It's absolutely clutch. Springer coming through one knee and then getting it closed out. Gaussman, everyone. It was fantastic, and I'm super excited.
There it is. So what's top of mind is the Blue Jays. This is fine if you work anywhere else but the Prime Minister of Canada. This is a ridiculous look.
I'm out of breath. I can't even express myself.
Are we close to a trade deal? Will we see
Sorry, I'm sorry?
We're talking about clutch. We know you've been working on it. Let's talk seventh inning stretch. Can we expect something in regards to sectoral tariffs?
That was just a brilliant segue there, Judy. It was very good. We'll see. We're ongoing discussions with the Americans, and we'll.
What was that body language? Yeah, we'll see. That was not confident. And then look at his little downward look here right afterwards.
We're ongoing discussions with the Americans, and
right there, he's looking for something. He's looking for something to say because it's not good. Now, when people look down like that, it can be because they're just racking their brain and they're trying to find the answer. Often people are looking down or away, which he's doing both here, when they're lying or or they have something to hide. In this case, he has something to hide. He knows that there's probably not a deal coming soon, but as you'll see coming up here, Dominic LeBlanc seems optimistic, but they've seemed optimistic now for months.
I wouldn't overplay it. I'm looking forward to see the president at APEC in Korea. But we're going to be seeing lots of other countries, and one of our core elements of our strategy is diversifying trade. That's why we're going to Asia. You saw the Indonesian trade deal. We're in talks with ASEAN, which is the group of countries that I'm meeting with.
That Indonesian trade deal is like a loan, and it was from last year. You didn't even make that deal. Like, this guy is ridiculous.
In Kuala Lumpur, and then more broadly at APEC, including with China.
So he just goes on to answer some questions in French.
I was surprised to see this morning the report that we're possibly going to finalize a deal in the next few days. We're making progress. I'm in constant discussions on the weekend, again yesterday, with my American counterparts. We're making progress. We're into a level of detail that we hadn't seen previously, but we still have work to do. And my objective is to continue to do that work until we get to the deal, but we haven't set a deadline of a particular date in the next week or two. We'll just continue to do the work to get the right deal. If we set an artificial deadline, it might lead us to a deal that's not in the best interest of Canadian workers. So we're just going to do the work until we get to that point and the Prime Minister decides it's the right deal for Canada.
Yeah, they're not getting a deal. That is the plan here. Meanwhile, we've got Tim Hodgson here celebrating 40 years of NPING Fellowship Society in Toronto. Yeah, okay. Yep. So jumping back to the House of Commons here, once again, they're going after Pierre Poilievre because things are going so badly for Mark Carney. They're trying to pin Poilievre as this bad guy for calling out the RCMP, not investigating Justin Trudeau, which is exactly what they did. Or didn't do, you might say.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague referred to apologies. Perhaps he'd like to lean forward a couple of rows and suggest to his boss, the Leader of the Opposition, that he should apologize to the men and women who serve in Canada's RCMP for attacking their integrity and attacking the work that they do to protect all Canadians. He should be ashamed of himself. He pretends to stand up for the police. He attacks them unfairly, and he should apologize to the women and men who serve in the RCMP. That would be a good apology, Mr. Speaker.
You know, this is such a hammed up theatrical display here. Did they bring in Justin Trudeau to give him a little lesson? You hear me? Let me show you how to do it. I'm so tired of all the lies that go on in here. The average Canadian who doesn't pay attention, they wouldn't know what's what. But everyone sees a testimony of the RCMP with Larry Brock there. It's quite obvious. The RCMP admitted they did not investigate the key person of interest, Justin Trudeau, for obstruction of justice, but also intimidation of a justice participant. And yet we've got theatrics here.
They're so focused on listening to their own spin, they've tuned out the grumbling sounds of millions of hungry Canadian stomachs. The Prime Minister said he would be judged by the prices people pay at the grocery store. Well, with food prices up another 4%, thanks to his Liberal government's inflationary deficits, Canadians have made up their minds. He's an empty suit making empty promises that have led to too many empty stomachs. How is this acceptable?
Question 2 is, why is Mark Carney not sitting here today? He's so terrified of Pierre Poilievre, he refuses to show up for work. Well, the Liberals say a deal's coming in a couple of days. We've got the NDP here basically saying that they may or may not support the government with their November 4th budget.
You know, we're not afraid of an election. You know, I don't think Canadians want one right now. I think we face some pretty serious threats from south of the border. Our economy is performing very poorly. I just saw inflation numbers come out today. 2.4%, housing up 4%, and groceries up 4%. These are on top of already stratospheric, unaffordable prices that Canadians are struggling with across this country. We have a jobs crisis. You know, GM's closing a plant, Stellantis is closing a plant, Imperial Oil's laying off workers across this country. So there's serious issues, I think, facing our Parliament. You know, I would like to get to work in Parliament to find solutions with my colleagues in the NDP. That's what I'm focused on right now. You know, if Mr. Carney provides a budget that no party can support, we'll go take our fight to the Canadian people, and we'll bring New Democrat solutions to people if that's what's necessary.
I still think they're going to support Carney's budget. They've said this over and over again, but every time they bend the knee. That's just it. The NDP are weak. They always bend the knee. There's no reason why they would change at this point. My sense is that Carney realizes he cannot get anything done with his minority government and sees his polling numbers shrink. So now would be the best time to try and get his majority. I think that window is closing because Pierre Poilievre is already leading right now in the polls. Multiple polls in a row here. There's a lot of mixed messages here. We've got Stephen McKinnon saying something else here.
So I just want to say, because I haven't said this in English yet, that we're 2 weeks from the budget. I think that what I'm seeing in Parliament worries me. We have two opposition parties, principally, that aren't taking this matter very seriously. Canadians are looking for certainty. We had an election 6 months ago. Canadians are looking for predictability, stability, and especially a plan. We intend to present a plan to Canadians to deal with this very critical moment in our history. And what we're seeing is our opposition parties, the Bloc Québécois, who, without having even read the budget, eliminate the possibility that they will support it, and the Conservatives making just ludicrous demands with respect to the budget.
Sounds like you're worried about maybe Canada going to another election. Is that a realistic possibility? Canadian?
Sounds like you're worried that Canada might be going to another election. Is that a real possibility? It's hard to hear.
We have a minority government, but we believe we have a mandate. And when I see opposition parties not ruling out the possibility of voting for the budget, that's starting to worry me. But I think it's them that are misreading the mood of Canadians. If an election is necessary, we would obviously, reluctantly, because we don't think Canadians want an election, but election there will be. It's the opposition parties who have that decision in their hands.
Why not accept the Bloc's demands?
Well, which ones? The one that said it's unimaginable that they vote for the budget, the negotiable demands, or the non-negotiable demands? It's pretty hard to follow.
What about the NDP?
You'll have to ask the NDP about the NDP.
Have you been having those conversations?
What I just said is that the Prime Minister has had conversations, Mr. Cpac has had conversations, other ministers have had conversations, and we will continue to listen to what they have to say.
Do you think opposition parties are bluffing?
I have no idea. You'll have to ask them.
I think the NDP will still support them. I don't think the Conservatives are definitely not bluffing, and neither are the Bloc. So neither of them are going to support this budget. It's up to the NDP. It's unlikely that the government falls November 4th and we go to an election, a winter election, Christmas election, but anything's possible. You can be rest assured Davies will follow the same playbook. Talk, 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 then vote with the Liberals. Yeah. And with all this going on, what are the Liberals running on their X account here?
What do you think about Poilievre's comments on the RCMP? Do you support his viewpoint?
They're running this clip from Cpac where a bunch of Conservatives don't want to talk about the RCMP comments. No point giving any attention to it.
Confidence in the RCMP.
They support Pierre, that's for darn sure.
What do you support Pierre?
Yeah, we all support Pierre. This is ridiculous. There's so many problems, and this is what they're running on their X account. I mean, they're just opening themselves up to stuff like this.